Praise God.
And if you belong to Christ, who holds the power and the healing abilities, that same power and healing abilities belong to you too.
Whoa.
You too also have self-healing abilities and that same power that Christ brought you with. Isn't that nice? You should be clapping hands at that.
To make a change, because right away, they say, well, I got to change, right? I got to make this transformation in my life, right? But, exactly how long it's going to take, because that could be a long process. That process can...
Marcus Hart Transform You Radio Show. The only radio show where you can make real results and start living in your purpose. Visit MarcusHartEnterprises.com. MarcusHartEnterprises.com.
Hello, my people, and welcome to Transform You Live Media Broadcast Network, where real transformation happens here, where we strive on restoring your inner power, your inner strength, your inner voice, so that you can begin to make necessary transformation in your life. We got an awesome show for you. We have a very awesome guest, and we've been having fun all this week so far, even though it's been 2 days in the week that we're in. We on Tuesday. You know what Tuesday is? Tuesday is Transformation Tuesday. Hey, can I get a hey now for that? Yesterday was very, very awesome, but today's going to be even more awesome. It seems like it's just getting better and better the day by day and just a moment by moment. You just got to savor the moment. Earlier today we had Lisa Ryan on, and she delivered some great nuggets to take home with us, and some great insight on just how to better get acquainted with being more grateful for just every day, having a better sense of appreciation. And she said that gratefulness is the key to door to opening up all the things we want. But we return back with even a more fantastic guest. The guest we have on today is Dr. Maxine Starr. Dr. Maxine Starr is a licensed marriage family therapist. She works in private practice in Rancho Cucamonga, California. If I said that correctly, I hope I said that correctly. And I should remember that because it's from a movie. I heard that somewhere in a movie.
Rancho Cucamonga.
Yeah, she's in the background laughing. She's laughing at me. But she's also the owner partner of Sunflower Therapies. She contracts with different schools, working with students in special ed who have behavioral, emotional, social difficulties. And if anyone knows me, this is definitely a subject that's dear to my heart. Being an individual who suffered through some mental health trouble growing up here, and also in early adulthood. She's also a professor. She teaches undergraduate and graduate courses in the same field. She also is your tango expert, and I'm dying to know more about that. I like the word, the words, the fabulous. She maintains an active blog on relationships and self-care issues. But I'm not going to hold her back too much longer. Let's hear it for Dr. Maxine Starr.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, it was such a mouthful. So how are you doing today, Dr. Maxine?
I'm doing fabulous. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure to have you on. We're definitely honored to have you. It's very humbling to bring on such an expert as yourself. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I think you pretty much covered it. I am a marriage and family therapist, licensed in California. I've been in practice for a little bit over 7 years, 4 of which were licensed. I've been out on my own in private practice for a long time because I have, just desire to do things a certain way, I guess I could say, and, reach as many people as I can. I don't like boundaries or limitations, so I find that working for myself is very fulfilling. I love people and background. and I speak Spanish and French as well, and I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. So what more specifically got you into the desire to just focus on helping people with mental health?
In this profession, we have a saying that the profession of therapy doesn't just land on your lap. I don't think one day you can, wake up and decide most of the time that you're going to be a therapist. It's usually something that, for me at least, it was with me for a very long time. I appreciate you sharing your background and, that you also were dealing with some mental health issues. In school, I grew up in a very prestigious part of Northern California, Silicon Valley. It was very competitive. So I suffered from, my parents both having to work outside the home and also just being in that competitive environment, back, you remember the days where, school bullying wasn't a thing and everybody just told you get over it. And that's kind of, where I grew that desire, because the only person that would pay attention to me was my school counselor. And, in middle school, and that's when it really started, that desire to always, help others. And being raised as I was with my Jewish background, always doing service to other people is very important to my culture and the way that I grew up. So it fit very well.
Nice. I love it. And, and God bless the school counselor. They always had some good treats inside of their office, too. And whenever you wanted to break some class, you go to the
Yeah, I maintain my office. One of my, as you mentioned, one of my jobs is working at a school site. So I actually am privileged to have my office, in the middle of the school counseling center. So they're great people.
Yeah, definitely. So this whole background that you have, and being very familiar with serving others, and has that made you even much more of an effective therapist to work with?
I would think so, because I think that, and I teach that too to up-and-coming therapists, which is another one of my passions, right? To harness the ones that are coming up into this field that I feel that aren't necessarily not validated. We do it's like an emergency worker. Like, you don't think about the police or the hospital ambulance until you need one. And so we're kind of in that same category. So we are using ourselves, right, as a tool to help others. So I really think that having that knowledge of myself and having gone on for my PhD and really doing a lot of exploration, because I can't take a client or a patient or anybody further than I've taken myself.
Exactly.
And that's the crux of it.
True. That is so true. Now, tell us a little bit about, your tango. What exactly, is it, and, what purpose does it serve for us, like your business?
Well, I just recently got into your tango. They were kind of flirting with me for the last year. They said, come on to our site and you can get a blog. And I'm like, what for? But then I saw, that there's like there's people like Dr. Sue Johnson, who's the expert in, couples therapy. And there's a whole section on there devoted to experts. It's also like a pop culture site that has many types of fun articles that you can read, from anything from dating to marriage to separation, and I am a marriage and family therapist, but my focus is not couples, although I do treat couples and I'm trained to treat couples. My focus is children, adolescents, and families. But that being said, finally I accepted their offer because they had an amazing promotion going on, and I'm like, okay, I'll just try this out. And it served me to kind of put some of the issues that I see happening in my practice without actually, because I can't obviously name any names, but it gives me a platform to sort of blog about some of the current issues that I might see, or trends, or, articles that you may read on things like Huffington Post and New York Post, Washington Post, etc., and give kind of a mental health / relationship spin on those types of articles.
Nice. And how long have you been blogging?
I mean, I haven't been blogging for that long. I think I have 5 or 6 articles up there, but I'm trying to do it more frequently. I always, have loved expressing myself through writing. I probably think that I probably do that better than speaking because, it gives you a chance to have your mind catch up with the paper. So I enjoy getting my thoughts out via writing. I mean, I've had journals, right, since I can remember, and I encourage my clients if they want to express themselves through drawing or journaling or channeling their emotions through some type of writing exercise, that it can actually be very cathartic.
Absolutely. Now, you just said that, you're not a good speaker. Well, I think you're fooling us all right now.
Thank you.
You must have took some acting classes, too. You are speaking very well right now.
I actually did, to be honest with you. Yes. Because, essential part of training as a therapist is to walk in someone else's shoes, literally. So a lot of our exercises and the exercises that I try to do with my classes involve some type of role play, because how can you possibly know? I mean, there's so many people from all different walks of life. How can you possibly imagine what it's like to be them unless you try to role play somebody else? I mean, I will never forget in my doctoral program role-playing the part of an extremely depressed patient and seeing how much energy that really took, to be that part, to play that part of that person, right? I mean, you don't even think about it, but the next time I saw someone like that, I was able to better identify with them because I remember what it felt like to even play that part.
Absolutely. Now I see here that you also, although you specialize with children and, that's what you just love most, but you also have teamed up and collaborated with, like, SLPs, speech language I can never say it. SLPs.
Speech language pathologist, yes.
Yeah, thank you so much. But you collaborate with them, to educate professionals on self-care. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Sure. Actually, it's funny that you say that. One of the things about the business that I co-own is that not only is it with my mother, which makes for an interesting dynamic, we're now best friends, but she's a very experienced speech and language pathologist, and seeing that field and sort of like not wanting to be a part of it, but at the same time having to be a part of it because that's her passion and that's what she loves to do. And I was seeing, especially working in the schools, how much our vocations, our careers really were able to overlap, almost like a crossword puzzle, if you will, because there's many instances where you'll be working, at least a mental health perspective, with a student that may have some kind of speech difficulty, communication problem, articulation problem, stuttering, just to name a few, incidents where an SLP can really shed some light on that for us, and then us vice versa with the dynamics of the relationship, because that's what we're, coming in as experts, and they have their own expertise. But that was the main idea of creating Sunflower Therapies, was to have like a one-stop shop where, if you're bringing in your child or even an adult who might have mental health needs, could also then be referred right in-house to an SLP for anything from, like I said, accent modification, articulation, speech difficulties, that type of thing, right there.
Well, yeah, I can definitely benefit from this myself because, although I became a world-class speaker, I still struggle over words. I still find myself stuttering sometimes. So I can definitely see the benefit in this. Now, Do you guys only work with the individuals just at the practice in California, or are you guys open to work with people from a distance as well?
I mean, the problem with my license right now is the fact that I can only see patients in California because California is so litigious therapy-wise. However, I believe that SLPs have a more open license, and they're more certified across the nation. So that would be something that, like a remote type of thing that an SLP might be able to help somebody with, yeah.
Okay, great, phenomenal. Now, exactly how can professionals take better care of themselves?
Well, that's a great question. I think that we, especially mental health, but anybody who's in the caring profession, I don't care if it's a nurse, a doctor, like I said, any frontline people, anybody who's serving the public. I mean, heck, I remember the days when I was doing customer service and how difficult that is because you're trying to please everybody, and you're the last person to always put your own needs are last, always, and that is not how it should be. I have found that the stronger that I become as far as being emotionally, psychologically, physically sound, the better care I take of myself, the more I put myself first, the better I can then turn around and serve my patients. So, for example, I remember doing a collaboration with my mom for self-care for SLPs, and it was a workshop we had done back in 2014 out in Florida. And I walked into the room, and mind you, there were like 100 people there, and I was like so stoked. I'm like, yay, because it was a new idea. It was self-care for SLPs. And I remember we had the relaxing music on, and we had the presentation ready to go. And these people looked at me like I was an alien, and they said, so are we just going to be relaxing for an hour, or what is this? And I said, no, not quite, but I hope that you do feel like you can relax in here. But it really depends on the person and, what they love. I mean, my self-care regime is I love going to new places, changing my scenery, and I love the fact that living in Southern California, I don't have to go that far to do that. Fortunately, I can go, for the day. I went recently last weekend to Joshua Tree, and that was amazing. I mean, just being in the middle of the desert, and I don't live that far. I mean, Rancho Cucamonga is like an hour, but just the landscape, everything changes, and you feel like you're in a different environment, and you're not seeing the desk in front of you and the computer and the piles of paper, and just even taking a day off like that. Exercising, of course, check with your doctor about all that. Eating as much good food as I can, meaning like not processed. Just checking in with myself, being aware. Through meditation, I love doing meditation. And that's just me. I mean, of course, being a woman, right? I mean, we love doing a little bit of retail therapy, not too bad, but even window shopping is fun. But again, just it doesn't even have to be expensive. You can go somewhere and immerse yourself in a different topography, talk with someone you haven't spoken to. Make sure that you're reaching out, because the more that you talk, the more you open yourself up. And yes, it may be scary, but being a therapist can be very isolating. And I always tell my patients, like, the people that are also my students, right, the ones that are training to be therapists, don't shut yourself off. Don't be in a corner. Like, I just started a networking group for holistic practitioners. I'm a huge fan of, like, Eastern, philosophy and meditation, as well as medicine, so, like, acupuncture, chiropractic, all that stuff. So I'm like, let's get all together the holistic way of thinking and really think about how we can better wrap around not only for our own business but for the community. So we're going to start doing a networking group. So just getting together with like-minded people. Listening to this podcast can be self-care.
Yeah. Kudos to you, for like taking the leadership and really, doing something that more professionals in your arena should do, and that's reaching out even to the alternative styles of treatment. That's phenomenal. I respect you a lot, much respect for that.
Thank you, because I'm not trying to discount Western medicine either, but I think, if we can learn how to appreciate, you were mentioning gratitude at the beginning of when you were talking about your previous guest, and that's true, just having gratitude for all different types of treatment, because what may work for one person, as far as they might say, well, yeah, I've had a lot of success with taking my medication, well, that's great. I'm not trying to discount that in the least, but if you find something, like I know for me, acupuncture and chiropractic are amazing. I'm only sick like one time a year, and I am so busy, and everyone says, how come you're not sick more? And I'm like, well, because, incorporated me, it's great. So whatever works for you.
And that's absolutely right. You definitely got to find what works for you best. You said it just, right on the spot. Now, in terms of that, you're such a busy professional. You got so much that you do. How do you manage your balance, to balance your work life?
Well, that's a great question, and, I can't practice what I can't preach what I don't practice. I have to practice what I preach. So what has helped me being the type A type of person that I am, because many parts of my life are scheduled down to the minute. As I'm talking to you, I'm driving to teach my class. It's hands-free, but, I'm good. But that's how I roll. But how I manage it is I plan out specific times. I have a calendar. I believe in using a written calendar just because when I cross things off my list, I can't do that on my phone. I can't check off something and feel the same satisfaction as when I have a written record, because then I can look back to it and say, oh, yeah, I remember I did that last month, or, and especially if you're going to be an independent professional, I think you should have a written agenda, but I still do, and I always will, just for the fact that I will pencil time in, whether it's, something as spending time with my mom next weekend, not doing anything business related, but taking care of ourselves, going out and window shopping to, going away with my husband. I mean, I use that example on my blog sometimes where I talk about, every couple argues, for example. My husband and I are no exception, but at the end of the day, we plan things, we have things to look forward to. So it doesn't have to be huge. I don't spend a ton of money doing this, but just every so often having something I can look forward to, whether it's a yoga class, hanging out with my friends, penciling that time in those, taking that time aside, making those boundaries and saying no sometimes. It's like, no, I already have whatever commitment to myself. I have to honor myself.
Oh, I love it. You know what? I feel like I just met my twin sister.
Oh. That's very sweet.
Yeah, because, I'm with you all the way on writing stuff down. It just feels so much, like more powerful and more authoritative when you write it down, keep track of it that way. Yeah, and then being able to be more of a no person than a yes person. And I absolutely am there with you. Wow. So much in common right now. So, going back to your specialty with working with children and adolescents, me myself, I have kids, and I have a child I sometimes struggle with, and I'm sure there's a lot of other listeners out there who may share in this. What can we do to begin to counteract some of these behaviors that we have to deal with?
Can you be more specific? I mean, is there specific? Because it would depend, obviously. Yeah.
Yeah, that'll help. Okay.
Everybody says, all the time, my kid is driving me crazy. If I had $1 for every time I heard that, my kid is driving me crazy. And, I'm not a parent yet. I do have 2 nephews. who are 18 and 8. So I understand how to be part of that family situation, but I'm not a parent yet.
Okay. Well, you definitely got the knowledge. So, well, here's an example here. I have a child, who oftentimes, he'll go off and do his own thing. He's 6 years old, and he listens to me, but when he gets around other adults, it's kind of hard to get him to stop doing something irritating.
Irritating them, or?
Well, okay. He runs off and he wanders off, and he won't stay with the group. You have to yell at him constantly over again. How can I begin to kind of react to that?
Well, first of all, you said he was 6, right?
Yeah, he's 6 years old.
Okay. So most, taking into account, let's say, normative 6-year-old behavior, I think that is kind of normal. So first of all, recognizing that them wanting to explore on their own, even though Dad says, no, you have to stay over here or you can't go over there, they're going to try to test you anyways. So knowing that healthy curiosity is there, so turning that into like a strength of the child rather than something that's frustrating, that's what I would, first try to reframe it as is, oh, that's great that your son is actually interested in the world in the sense that he wants to go out there and really see what's there. But at the same time, I empathize with your frustration about the fact that you're giving him a directive, like, no, you can't go over there. You need to stay with me or what have you. And he's not doing it. He's not complying with it. So perhaps, suggesting that before you get into that situation, kind of briefing him about what the rules are going to be, and maybe even setting up like a reward system with him. If you're staying by Daddy and you're listening to what Daddy tells you for the next hour, then we can go, you'll earn 1 sticker on your board, let's say, to go to the zoo, and you can do 5 stickers of that, just as like an example. So that would be something that I would do.
Okay. Well, yeah, and once again, he doesn't struggle with listening to me. It's oftentimes it's other adults. So I definitely will take that suggestion though, and just hope to see some improvement. So yeah, but that's awesome information. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Go ahead.
So here's what I have for you. I have, what are some ways that we, especially men, there's sometimes struggles with confidence. What's one thing that we can do to increase our confidence?
That men can do to increase their confidence?
Yes.
I would say, it all comes down to, obviously, your own beliefs. That's what self-esteem really is. As much as you can surround yourself with positive people, that's great too, but even you can be unhappy in the presence of others. And so I think it really starts and ends with you. So just as I was suggesting taking time out for yourself and doing things that give you pleasure, and incorporating those kind of positive activities, I would also say, as ridiculous as it sounds, changing the way that you talk to yourself, because we all do. I mean, we're all in our heads all the time. Sometimes people get down on themselves, especially men, because they think that everybody else is talking or, thinking about what they're doing, like other guys are, comparing themselves to, it goes back to evolution and how, men, like the peacocks do, they try to pluck their feathers out to attract their mate the best that they can. That's not going to change. But as far as men being more confident, it's all about the way you talk to yourself. I mean, if you're thinking, if the majority of your thoughts are negative ones, then just being able to alter that self-talk that you have to change, if you're saying, well, I'm not fit, I'm not happy, whatever, getting down to the core issue of what your thought process is, and then changing that into a more positive, affirmation. We call it affirmation. So I've had patients that have positive things that they can think about themselves, and then they write it on a Post-it and they stick it on the mirror, and then it may not even be something that you believe right now, like, I'm a good-looking guy, or I'm a decent person. Forget about being a guy for a minute. Just, I'm a decent person. The most that I need to impress is myself. I'm a nice person. I help others. Whatever it is, whatever the mantra is, just repeating it to yourself, seeing it. I mean, heck, setting up a phone alarm so that every 10, 15 minutes, there's actually one app called the Lotus, I think it is, where you can have a bell go off at a certain interval, and even when that bell goes off, you're like, time to think about my affirmation, whatever that is. So that would be some of my ideas on how to increase your confidence as a guy.
Well, that's definitely excellent ideas, and you definitely given us something that we can right away, apply in our lives and start making some transformation. We really appreciate that, Dr. Starr. Now, if individuals wanted to get in contact with you, what's the best way to do that?
They could probably email me. It's Dr. Starr. It's all one word, and doctor spelled out, so DOCTOR, and then Starr with 2 R's at sunflower-therapies.com. And our website is also the same, sunflower-therapies.com. And then my blog is at Your Tango, and you can always Google me.
Okay, absolutely. Wow, we really appreciate it, Dr. Starr. Is there any final words you want to leave us with?
Just thank you so much for having me, and any questions or concerns that people have, I'm happy to converse with them. And help them if they're in a different state besides California, just help maybe steer them in the right direction. And just for people to know that we're here for a reason, that's what I think. And, you don't have to be perfect. I don't think that's what life is about, because then we wouldn't really be here, and just trying to do better tomorrow what you did left, from today, what's left over from today.
Absolutely. That's definitely some words to take with us. We greatly appreciate you. Now, it's a question that I always ask all of my guests, that come on, and that's in relation to the election that's coming up. Election season is here, and, November will be here before we know it. So do you have any opinions or thoughts on the current election right now?
Do I have any thoughts about it?
Yeah, thoughts or opinions.
So I'm also the social media manager for Sunflower Therapies. I manage our Facebook and our Twitter. We're both on there. And one of the articles that we recently shared was about how, it hasn't happened to me personally, but some of my colleagues have been getting some clients who have fear of the campaign about Donald Trump and the anxiety that is bringing, the fear of what might happen, and what he represents, and just the anger that he seems to be bringing to the table. I know that that's something that I've noticed in the mental health community.
That's some new information there. Wow. I'm definitely going to put that out. That's, wow. That is terrible. That's terrible.
Yeah, I shared that a couple of weeks ago. I think even maybe last week. It's up on my Facebook page. It was just an article about how that fear is it's becoming a topic in therapy, is some people's fear of Donald Trump. And not to say that people aren't allowed to support whoever they want, because they are, but that is a trend that some mental health people have been seeing recently.
Right. Wow. Well, and that's very important that we begin to give people some hope and inspiration in this dire time right now. So you're doing a great work, and kudos to you. We give you big high fives to you just reaching out to people and being the person that brings them back to their center, to help them through this time.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that greatly. It's few and far between the appreciation that most people have shown for mental health, but when it is given, it goes a long way.
Yeah, definitely. I have a special place in my heart for all therapists around the world. So, you definitely joined in on this show and had a real good time, and we really appreciate your presence here tonight. And we hope to have you on in the future.
Yeah, definitely. I'd be open anytime.
Okay, awesome. Well, that's what we have here for you folks. We have gotten yet another expert that came on to share some amazing stuff with us. We had an awesome time. Dr. Starr is surely a blessing to each and every one of us, and just her presence alone is just very sincere, very very open, approachable person. So make sure you do get connected with her at sunfire-therapies.com. Visit yourtangle.com and find her blog and get connected with her right away at Dr. Starr at sunfire-therapies.com. And if you love what you're hearing so far, and if you've been tracking all of the segments, make sure you reach out to transformubroadcast.com too. Visit Transform You Broadcast. That's transform the letter U broadcast.com. Join our community of all the world's leading experts and their friends. My friends are there. Bring your friends, and then we all will be friends in exchange of love, positive vibes, and just all digest on this awesome content that's being delivered. So till next time, folks, many blessings, peace, and love to each and every one of you guys. Hope to connect with you guys very soon.